A new report from the National Insurance Crime Bureau shows nearly 500,000 vehicles were reported stolen nationwide in the first half of 2023.
The report comes just days after a high-profile carjacking of a U.S. congressman in Washington, D.C. According to a CBS News analysis, Minneapolis has reported at least 228 carjackings this year. But just how concerned should you be? CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen spoke with Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara to learn more.
What you're about to see is an attempted carjacking. Out of nowhere, a person jumped into the street wielding a knife, appearing to attempt a carjacking. The suspect fled the scene, leading Seattle police on a chase into a wasp's nest.
All right.
Last week, on the other side of the country, a member of Congress was carjacked just outside his D.C. apartment.
They pointed guns at me. They said they wanted my car. I said, sure, you got to keep calm in those situations.
These brazen crimes are grabbing headlines in major cities across the country. So what's exactly going on here?
Charged in the carjacking and beating. Showing this white Mercedes taken from an Uber Eats driver.
There are two suspects on the loose after a carjacking this morning.
Hey, how are you?
Last week, Democratic Representative Henry Cuellar of Texas became one of the latest victims in a wave of recent carjackings in the nation's capital. D.C. has seen these violent crimes more than double since 2020.
How are you feeling?
I'm certainly doing a lot better. You know, it's one of, like you talked about, shock. It's one of those things you just never expect. You know, they didn't even ask for my wallet. They didn't want money. All they wanted was the car. That's what they wanted, the car.
A CBS News analysis found that D.C. is one of many cities seeing a rise in carjackings. Last year, Chicago reported a staggering 1,650 carjackings, Baltimore 714, and New York City jumped from just over 300 in 2020 to nearly 600 in 2022.
Anybody can be a victim at any time.
Bruce Jacobs is a professor of criminology at the University of Texas, Dallas.
Is there anywhere that's safe?
The data seems to suggest that most of these carjackings occur either in and around parking lots, residential streets, convenience stores, and or commercial parking lots. It's really anywhere the offender thinks they can corner you.
How often are people getting caught?
Somewhere between 65 and 75% of all carjackings are not cleared by arrest.
Wow.
But not all cities are seeing a rise. So far this year, Detroit carjackings have decreased by nearly half compared to 2022. And Minneapolis carjackings have plummeted for this year as well.
What's changed?
And one thing that's been tremendously effective has been the willingness of the U.S. Attorney in Minnesota to prosecute every single case that we can provide that is eligible for federal prosecution. So what that gives is it gives a much stiffer sentence than typically offenders may have.
In fact, Police Chief Brian O'Hara says most violent crimes in Minneapolis are down after the police department began working with the federal government to bring tougher punishments against violent criminals and street gangs.
It ensures that it sends a message to the community and to those who are doing these crimes that they will be taken very seriously and they will be prosecuted federally, and there will be a consequence for these actions.
Now, as alarming as this trend is, experts agree the best thing to do if the unthinkable happens to you is stay calm.
Especially if you're cornered and you have a gun in your face and they're demanding your vehicle, give them the keys. No resistance, because we have seen in the data, carjacking fatalities are extraordinarily rare. Something like 0.2% of all the reported carjackings we looked at result in a fatality. So it's very, very unusual.
Tom Hansen, CBS News.
Representative Cuellar told CBS News that more federal money should be put toward combating carjacking. He also said you can replace property, but you can never replace your life.